Welcome to the Explainer. You know, if you've ever looked at a dinosaur fossil and felt just this absolute immediate sense of awe at the sheer impossible scale of the ancient world, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're focusing on the biggest of the big, the sauropods. These were those iconic, long-necked titans that literally touched every single continent on Earth. But hiding within their massive fossil record is one of paleontology's greatest, most perplexing cold cases. A sudden disappearance that completely reshaped the prehistoric world. Okay, let's dive into this prehistoric true crime mystery.
So, what if everything you know about dinosaur movies is actually wrong? We've all seen the blockbuster films, right? The ones where those iconic, late Cretaceous predators chase massive, long-necked dinosaurs through the jungle. It's a total classic image. But here's the shocking pop culture irony. Many of those famous late Cretaceous dinosaurs never actually saw a sauropod. Not even a single one in their entire lives. No way, right? To understand why, we have to go back to the beginning of our story.
Section 1. The Golden Age of Giants.
Let's travel back to the late Jurassic period. Following an early Jurassic global warming event, these majestic creatures absolutely exploded in diversity, reaching their peak dominance across the entire globe. Some of the largest members of this group reached sizes that completely challenge our understanding of terrestrial biology. 100 tons? To really put that staggering peak weight into perspective, you have to imagine 20 stegosaurs as just smashed together to form one superanimal. It's a sheer, unnatural scale that made them the undisputed heavyweight champions of the Earth.
The Morrison Formation in North America provides incredible, undeniable evidence of this true ecosystem dominance. Because large bones have a much higher chance of fossilizing, we have a wonderfully clear record here. We're talking about a location featuring at least 24 distinct large sauropod species, all coexisting right side by side. They weren't just barely scraping by in North America. They were the absolute, inescapable rulers of the landscape, the ultimate dominant herbivores.
Section 2. The Sudden Disappearance.
Around 100 million years ago, during the Cenomanian stage of the Cretaceous period, these inescapable giants just stopped showing up. It wasn't a slow, gradual fading away either. It was a frighteningly abrupt vanishing act. This is known in paleontology as the Sauropod Hiatus. It's a mysterious 30 million year period where massive, long-necked dinosaurs completely and utterly vanished from North America and Europe. Just think about that time frame for a second. 30 million years without a single long neck wandering the northern continents. This massive gap is the true crux of our explainer today.
With the giant longnecks entirely out of the picture, we see a totally reshuffled ecosystem in the north. Duck-billed hadrosaurs and armored ceratopsids stepped right up, taking over as the dominant herbivores. And because the prey changed, the predators had to adapt, right? They evolved to hunt faster, heavily armored animals instead of those slow-moving, massive giants. The overall North American size ceiling basically plummeted. This is exactly why famous beloved dinosaurs like Gorgosaurus, Albertosaurus, and Parasaurolophus lived their entire lives in a completely sauropod-free zone.
Section 3. Meanwhile, in the South.
Because here's a massive twist for you. This terrifying sudden vanishing act, it was not a global extinction event. Not at all. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast happening globally at the time. While North America and Europe are entirely empty of giants, left with a much lower size ceiling, places like South America, Africa, and Asia are experiencing an absolute boom. The titanosaurs down south are actively ballooning to record-breaking 80-ton sizes. It's almost as if a literal invisible line was drawn straight across the planet.
While the north was completely empty, we have the 80-ton Argentinosaurus, the largest completed sauropod ever, just thriving down in South America. We have the massive Dreadnoughtus doing the exact same thing. And even on totally isolated continents like Australia, you find the Winton Formation packed with large sauropods like the Australotitan. The rest of the world was absolutely teeming with colossal species during this exact same time frame.
Section 4. Solving the Hiatus Mystery.
To really understand what triggered this localized apocalypse, ask yourself, why did they vanish only in the north? What could possibly wipe out an entire thriving population of globally dominant giants, but only on two specific continents? Well, the evidence actually points away from a single killer and instead reveals a deadly synchronized combination of geological and biological assassins.
Let's walk through exactly how this happened. Now, what's really interesting about this is that the initial killer wasn't a giant predator, it was water. The Western Interior Seaway formed, which was this massive inland sea that literally cut North America into two separate landmasses. This caused immense habitat loss, marooning these space-needy giants into rapidly shrinking territories. And then came the final blow: competition. The newly evolved duck-billed hadrosaurs, armed with highly complex dental batteries, began outcompeting the younger, smaller sauropods for the exact same lower vegetation. The giants were literally squeezed and starved out of existence.
And over in Europe, a perfectly parallel tragedy was unfolding. There wasn't a single inland seaway dividing them, but rather rising warm sea levels that transformed the entire European continent into an archipelago of small islands. Imagine animals the size of buildings suddenly confined to tiny strips of land. It was an extreme loss of necessary landmass, coupled once again with deadly competition from rapidly expanding, plant-eating ornithischian populations that just pushed them right to the brink.
Section 5. A short-lived comeback.
Because after tens of millions of years, the planetary environment shifted once again, the seas receded, and our long necks made a highly dramatic, totally unexpected return. Grasping the sheer scale of deep time is absolutely crucial here. They vanished around 98 million years ago. Then we have that massive 30 million year gap of total absence. Finally, about 68 million years ago, they make their triumphant return to North America. And then, a mere 2 million years later, the KT asteroid hits.
I really want to contextualize this timeline for you with this number, 1,500 times. That is how much longer this 30 million year hiatus is compared to the entire era we think of as the Ice Age. Think about the classic time of mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and early humans with clubs, and multiply that entire epoch by 1,500. That is how incredibly long North America went without a single sauropod walking its plains.
But when those inland seas finally shrank, they migrated back, bringing some incredible evolutionary twists with them. In North America, the Alamosaurus migrated up from South America, and remarkably, it grew to between 30 and 80 tons, making North America's absolute last sauropod also its largest one ever. Over in Europe, Titanosaurus migrated up from Africa, but those isolated island environments had a vastly different effect. They underwent extreme insular dwarfism. Get this, some of these European long necks actually evolved to be closer to your size, human size, than to the giant sizes of their ancestors.
They had successfully reclaimed the North. A brand new second golden age of massive sauropods was poised to begin. So the crucial point is this tragic irony. Their triumphant comeback tour was almost instantly wiped out. Just 2 million years after finally reclaiming North America, the KT asteroid struck our planet, wiping out all non-avian dinosaurs and bringing the story of these incredible, resilient longnecks to a permanent, fiery end.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question. If the KT asteroid had completely missed the Earth, would the giants still rule the North today? Would we have 80-ton building-sized titans walking the American plains right at this very moment? It perfectly summarizes the absolute ruthlessness of deep time. The survival of the largest animals to ever walk the Earth hinged on shifting oceans, hungry duck-billed competitors, and finally, a rogue rock from space. I hope this deep dive gave you a completely new perspective on the ancient world. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep that curiosity alive.